Good morning, dear students. Today we will study the next part of Unit 2, that is structural organization in animals and plants, and we were doing the anatomy of flowering plants. So in the next part, this is the part 5, we will study the secondary growth in dicot stems. So secondary growth in dicot stem we will study here with the help of outline diagrams, formation of annual rings, activity of cambium and cork cambium, formation of secondary tissues, and differences between heartwood and sapwood, and definition of bark. So what is secondary growth in dicot stem? So we'll understand first what is primary and what is secondary growth. The primary growth is a type of plant growth that occurs at the tips of roots and shoots. You have studied already the types of meristem in the plant. They are apical, intercalary and lateral. So this primary growth is the growth takes place in the early life of the plant, and this takes place at the tips of roots and shoots with the help of apical meristem. So apical meristem undergoes continuous division and increases the length of the plant, and this is the primary growth. Now what is secondary growth? Secondary growth is a type of growth that increases the plant's stem width, means its diameter increases, and the plant it becomes thick, means the shoot part it becomes thick, or the root part it becomes thick during the secondary growth. This secondary growth takes place with the help of the lateral tissues known as the cork cambium and the vascular cambium. So let me see the secondary growth and the anatomy of wood, how the anatomy of wood is affected by the secondary growth. So most monocots and many dicots, they show little or no secondary growth. Why? Because they are often herbaceous, non-woody plants. So in herbaceous or non-woody plants, this secondary growth does not take place. They usually have a life cycle that lasts one season only, and corn, dandelion, all these are the examples of the herbaceous non-woody plants that do not have the secondary growth. An herbaceous plant is made up of flexible non-woody tissue. But on the other hand, many dicots, they show secondary growth, while allows a plant to grow laterally, or in other words to thicken their stems. Plants which show secondary growth are woody plants. They possess wood in their plant bodies. Examples they include trees, vines and shrubs. Secondary growth in stems is the product of secondary meristem. Which of the meristem? Meristem means the growth tissue, the vascular cambium and the cork cambium. And these secondary meristem, they give rise to the secondary tissues. This cork cambium, it replaces the epidermis with a secondary dermal tissue which is known as the periderm. Means this cork cambium, it forms periderm, which is the thicker and tougher tissue, and a different secondary meristem which is vascular cambium, it adds layers of vascular tissues and it forms secondary xylem and secondary phloem. And wood is the secondary xylem that accumulates over the year. So let me see what are these two types of meristem or the cambium and their location. So two types of lateral meristem responsible for the secondary growth in the stem. These are vascular cambium and cork cambium. Vascular cambium located between the xylem and phloem, producing additional vascular tissue, means they produces the secondary xylem and secondary phloem. Cork cambium located outside of the phloem, producing cork, replacing epidermis. So let me see what are the steps involved in the secondary growth in dicot stem. So mainly we will study the secondary growth in stalar region and secondary growth in extrastellar region. Stalar region means the region where the xylem and phloem present inner side of the endodermis. So secondary growth in stalar region, it involves these steps. These are formation of cambium ring, formation of secondary vascular tissue, formation of medullary rays. So these are the three steps involved in the secondary growth in stalar region, and in this way secondary xylem and phloem are formed. Now the secondary growth in extrastellar region, extrastellar means that the region after the endodermis, that is the region at the periphery. So in this region the formation of the phalogen, phloem and phloderm takes place together. This is known as the periderm. So let me study all these steps in detail with the help of diagram. So first we will study here the growth in the stellar region, the secondary growth in the stellar region. So during the process of secondary growth in stellar region, following important events takes place. First, the formation of cambium ring. So before that, let you study what is the position of the vascular bundles in the stem. So you will see here that this is the primary phloem. This is the primary phloem. Inner to it, this is the primary xylem. So this is primary xylem, this is primary phloem. And you will see here in the formation of cambium ring, here the that strip of cambium present between the vascular bundles. So in between this primary xylem and primary phloem, you will see a layer of cambium, and this cambium is known as the fascicular cambium, or we call it as intravascular also, because it is in the middle of xylem and phloem. So this is intravascular cambium, and this is a type of primary meristem. It becomes active under the influence of some plant hormones. So that it becomes active, and the cell division starts in the cells of the intravascular cambium. Now next, that cambium which is known as the intervascular cambium, which is present in the that in between the vascular cambium, this vascular bundles. So you can see these are the vascular bundles, and the tissue the cambium which is present in between the vascular bundles, this is known as the intervascular cambium. So understood children? Intravascular cambium and intervascular cambium. So this cells of the pith rays which are lying between this vascular bundle, this becomes meristematic, and this is known as the intervascular cambium. Now both this cambium, which one? The cambium which is present in between the xylem and phloem, intravascular cambium and intervascular cambium, they become continuous with each other and form a complete ring after the cell division, and this complete ring is known as the ring of cambium. So both are the cambium, meristematic tissue, they undergo cell division, and after the growth they form a continuous ring, and this ring is known as the cambium ring or ring of cambium. And there are two types of cells present in the ring of cambium. What are these two types of cells? So let me see here. The two types of cells present in the cambium, they are fusiform initials and ray initials. So we'll study the next step, that is a formation of secondary vascular tissue. So this fusiform initial cells which are present in the cambium, they are, or in the ring of cambium, they form the secondary vascular tissue. So let me see the second step, secondary vascular tissue, how it is formed. You can see this is the cambium ring or vascular cambial ring. It has two types of cells, that is the fusiform initial and the ray initial. So this fusiform initial cells, they are long and spindle shaped cells. They divide periclinically and give the secondary xylem and phloem. So here the fusiform initial cells, they undergo division periclinically, and then they form the secondary xylem and secondary phloem. Now due to the periclinical divisions, the new cells are added either towards the periphery or towards the pith. So by the periclinical division, what happens? The cells are added outside also, and cells are added inner to the cambium ring also. So the cells which are formed towards the periphery, then these cells, they form the here most of the cells are added towards the periphery, and as a result what happened, that the cells which are formed towards the periphery, they differentiate and form the secondary phloem. So cells which are formed at the periphery, they form the secondary phloem, and cells which are formed towards the pith, you can see this is the center. So towards the pith, the cells which are formed by the cambium ring, they form the secondary xylem. So you can see this is secondary phloem, outside of this cambium ring, and inner side of the cambium ring secondary xylem is formed. and more cells are added towards the periphery. Understood? So here, due to the pressure exerted by the growing cambium ring, the continuous growth in the cambium ring, it exerts pressure, and the secondary phloem and the primary phloem is pushed towards the endodermis. You can see here that this is the secondary phloem, and below it here the primary phloem is there. So due to continuous growth of this tissue, it exerts pressure, and here the secondary xylem also is developing. So due to growth of all these tissues, the pressure is exerted on the endodermis, and here the endodermis is pushed outside, towards outside, and phloem is also pushed towards the endodermis, and then this phloem, it eventually crushed and present in isolated patches, the primary phloem. So primary phloem pushed outside, and here, and the secondary xylem is inner to it. So in this manner, secondary xylem and secondary phloem, they are formed. Now the third, the formation of the medullary rings. Medullary rays, what are the medullary rays? These rays are formed by the cells which are known as the ray initials. Like in just now I said the two types of cells are present in the cambium ring. These cells are the ray initials and fusiform initials. Fusiform initials, they form the secondary vascular tissue, and ray initial, they form the medullary rays. So ray initial, which are present inside the cambium ring, they are smaller and spherical, and they give rise to the parenchymatous cells in a thin and narrow band. You can see here the medullary rays. So this thin and narrow band of parenchymatous cells, they arrange radially from pith to the phloem, and then they form the medullary rays. So these are called as the medullary rays or the vascular rays. So this is the formation of medullary rays with the help of ray initials. So in this manner, growth takes place in the stellar region. Now the second is there, the growth is in the extrastellar region. So due to continuous secondary growth in the stellar region, the cells of epidermis and cortex rupture. So you know that growth is taking place in the stellar region. It forms a large amount of tissue, and this tissue pushes exerts the pressure on the tissue external to it, that is the epidermis and cortex. So further, before the rupture actually takes place, what happens? A secondary protective tissue is formed by the activity of cork cambium, that is known as the phellogen. So this is the phellogen, and this phellogen is formed by some of the cells of hypodermis or the outer layer of the cortex. Here this outer layer of the cortex, they actually becomes meristematic, and they form this cork cambium, or we call it as the phellogen. Now this phellogen further, or the cork cambium, has the thin walled and rectangular cells. So thin walled and rectangular cells are present in this cork cambium, and they divide in the tangential plane, providing daughter cells which are added to the exterior and sometimes to the interior. So अब इस phellogen tissue में जो है continuous division होगा cork cambium में, and that division which is being in tangential plane, so it will add some cells exterior also and some cells interior also. So let we see further what are the changes taking place. So the daughter cells which are added outside, so you see this is the cork cambium or the phellogen. Its cells undergo division and add some cells externally. So the daughter cells added outer side of the phellogen, they develop thick walls, become heavily impregnated with the waxy material, that is suberin. Means suberin is deposited in these cells, and this suberized tissue, now it is known as the cork or the phellem. So understood? Phellem is the technical term given to the cork. So this is known as the cork. By the division of the phellogen tissue, as cells are added externally, and externally added cells deposited with the wherein it forms the cork. Now next we will see here, this cork, this is known as the phloem also, and this forms a waterproof covering of the stem. Now the cells which are cut off on the inner side of the phloem. So this phloem or cork cambium, it adds cells inner side also by the division, and inner side it forms a parenchymatous tissue, the secondary cortex, or we call it as the phyloderm also. So inner side layer which is formed by the division of the phloem or cork cambium, this is known as the phyloderm. It contains parenchymatous tissue, and these cells are living cells in the parenchyma, means this parenchyma is the living one, and they function in the photosynthesis in the and in the food storage. So in this manner, students, you understood the three layers are formed during the secondary growth in extracellular region. These are the phloem, phloem and the phyloderm. So this phloem, phloem and phyloderm, they form the periderm. So together they form the periderm, which is the outermost layer in the stem. So in this manner, the secondary growth is over. In you have studied in the two areas, the secondary growth in the stellar region and the extrastellar region. So students, due to this, what are the changes taking place in the stem? On that basis, we will study the types of wood, that is heartwood and sapwood. As I said you earlier, that the secondary growth takes place in the stem in the woody plants, the stem or in the woody stems or in the woody plants. So when secondary growth has taken place for a number of years, the centrally situated wood, it becomes darker. Okay, when this secondary growth takes place for a number of years, then the secondary situated wood becomes darker and harder. So it is known as the heartwood or duramen, while the peripheral wood comprising a few years growth, it remains pale and soft, and this is known as the sapwood or the alburinum. Okay, so we will study this heartwood and sapwood and their differences. So what are the differences? Sapwood, it is the living part of the wood, and heartwood, which is known as the duramen also, this is the dead part of the wood. This sapwood, it is located on the outer side of the wood, just now I showed you, and hardwood, it is situated in the center part of the wood. Sapwood, it is less in color, means light in color, and here heartwood is, it is in the dark color. So this dark color is due to the deposition of certain substances in the heartwood. Parenchyma cells of the heartwood are dead, and but before they die, they are usually produces oils, resins, gums, coloring matter, tannins and antiseptic materials. So because of these, they become the dark colored. So this is dark in color, and sapwood is soft in nature, heartwood is hard in nature. Here tyloses are absent, here the tyloses are present. So hardwood, it contains the tyloses also, that is the certain chemical substance. So the cavity of the xylem vessels in the heartwood becomes clogged with the deposit of the gummy materials and the tyloses, and the dark color of the heartwood is also due to tannins or resins or gums. And this tannin or resins or gums, it makes it more durable and resist towards the microorganisms. While in the sapwood, tyloses are absent, and it is not durable and not resistant and to the microorganisms. So you understood the difference in between the heartwood and sapwood. And further we are going to study one more that topic, that is the bark. So what is bark? That you have studied already, the growth, secondary growth in extracellular region. That forms a layer, that is the phloem, phloem, and the inner side layer you have studied, which is the phyloderm, and together they are known as the periderm. So the term bark is commonly applied to all the tissues outside the vascular cambium of the stem, and that is the periatom, cortex, primary phloem and the secondary phloem. And bark protects the plant from parasitic fungi and insects, prevents water loss by evaporation, and guards against the variation of external temperature. It is an insect repellent, decay proof, fire proof, and is used in the obtaining drugs or spices. The phloem cells of the bark are involved in the conduction of food, while the secondary cortical cells are involved in storage. If the phloem forms a complete cylinder around the stem, then it gives rise to ring bark. So type of bark that is in the ring form, that is ring bark. Example is the quercus. And when the bark is formed in overlapping scales-like layers, it is known as the scale bark. Example guava. While the ring barks normally do not peeled off, these scale barks, they are peeled off. So let you see, this is the ring bark shown in the quercus. So you can see here the bark which is usually not peeled off, but here in the guava you will see this is the scaly bark, it is usually peeled off. So this is all about the bark and its uses. Now one more topic we will study, that is annual rings. What are the annual rings? As you know that the secondary xylem or the wood form year after year and appears in the form of rings in transverse section of the trunk. So you see this is the transverse section of the trunk, and you can see there are many rings present into it, and here each that ring represent the total development of wood during the all seasons of the year, and each ring is commonly called as an annual ring. So you see here the first year growth, and then the rainy season growth. Here you can see this is the growth in the dry season. Okay, so in this manner that a complete ring is formed during a growth, and each ring is commonly known as the annual ring, and it is made up of the two distinct parts, the inner layer of the spring wood and the outer layer, more compact layer, which is known as the summer wood. So these are the annual rings. So here you will see that the area where the plenty of rainfall is there, an annual ring consists of hard wood and the soft wood. So you can see here the rainy season the rings which are formed, so they have hardwood and the softwood both. So since each annual ring corresponds to the 1 year's growth, by counting the total number of annual rings, the age of the tree can be approximately determined. So this method in which that age of the tree is determined by counting the annual rings, this is known as the dendrochronology. So this branch of the science in which the age of the tree is determined with the help of counting the annual rings. This is known as the dendrochronology. So understood children here? This is the that annual ring, how it is formed and what is the importance of the annual ring. So students, we have completed all the topics here as per the syllabus, and you study it from the book also and ask your doubts.